So I knew Matt had a ring because our parents are really bad at keeping secrets.
The fact that I was getting a ring somehow was not unknown to her.
And he had the ring for like 5 months before he proposed, which is ridiculous.
For me, the most important thing was the element of surprise. I just had to surprise her. And it was October, so it was during harvest, and our hours are crazy. I'm waking up super early in the morning.
He came and he gave me a kiss like he does every morning, and he's like, all right, I don't have to go to work today, get out of bed. It's like, what are you talking about? You get back in bed, I'm not waking up.
Got her out of bed, dragged her all the way up to a winery not far from where I work, and the idea was to catch the sunrise because it's a hill that kind of faces the Sacramento Basin, but the place I picked was like right behind a mountain peak.
I remember him getting so irritated though because the sun was rising behind the mountain that was next to us, so he didn't plan it quite as well as he had thought he did. I finally got really frustrated and he's like, oh, forget it. And he stood up and he unrolled a piece of paper and it said, will you marry me?
Joe was confused and perplexed and kind of befuddled and just had no idea what was going on. So for me, it was a victory.
The first time I remember seeing Matt was freshman year, and he was walking around with like a wife beater outside, and he had long hair and he had super baggy pants, and he was walking around with the boombox on his shoulder. And I was like, what year are we in? Who is this guy?
The first time I ever saw her, she was, I just kind of noticed her because she was walking. We had this big quad in the college area, and she was just walking down and screaming at somebody, just leaning into somebody. And I was kind of like, who is that? And then I'll always remember that.
Biggest pet peeve.
She's perfect. She's a princess, and there's nothing wrong with her.
I hope he didn't say anything about me because I'm perfect.
Sometimes she drives like there's a forest fire behind her, or like she's running from a tornado or a stampede of buffalo, and it can be a little bit scary. And I don't know if it's from being from LA or...
My biggest pet peeve, probably when he gets home from work, looking just like a dirty homeless man and smelling like a rotten grape, is he'll just come and sit on the couch and he like won't go shower first, and I like things clean.
I've always admired how big of a person she is despite her actual physical stature, and it's almost I don't know what the word exactly for it is. It's kind of an optical illusion or something like that. All you have to do is speak to her for a little bit to understand that she's much bigger than her actual body.
Like aside from his tush, my favorite thing is the way he looks at the world. Ever since I met Matt, it's something I always tell him. I love watching him when he's looking at something, especially when we're outside. Just the way he sees the world is so different than the way other people do, and it's given me an entirely new perspective on so many things.
Her family's crazy, but every family's crazy, right? My family is small, and she has more first cousins than I do family members total. If I'm reaching, I'm going for like second cousins and nieces and nephews. So for me, at first, it was kind of, oh my God, what am I getting into? But I love all of them.
I'm just marrying into the best family, and I'm fortunate enough to have met Lonnie, Matt's mom, before she passed away. And the last thing she ever said to me, which was our graduation in college, she hugged me goodbye and she whispered, take care of my son, and I'll never forget that. And I'm just so grateful I got to meet her. I feel lucky. I'm gonna cry. In 20 years, can we be retired by then? It's a possibility. In 20 years, hopefully we have closer to a dozen kids as opposed to just, the very few that Matt wants.
If I can somehow convince Johanna to not field an entire baseball team of children, we'll probably have something like 3 kids.
Wouldn't it be great to just have an entire basketball team, or I guess I'm too short for that. Maybe an entire baseball team. That would be amazing.
Jade,
Alexander,
do you remember that day you fell out of my window?
I sure do. You came jumping out after me.
Well, you fell on the concrete and nearly broke your ass, and you were bleeding all over the place, and I rushed you out to the hospital. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Well, there's something I never told you about that night.
What did you tell me?
I imagine we'll probably be in Napa for a while. I don't know if we'll stay there forever, but I feel like we're on to something good.
I can't imagine not being even more in love with him.
Till just now. Let me come home.